The Unseen Sibling, A Tale of Two Sisters. Growing up, I always felt like the invisible child. Not invisible in the sense that I could walk through walls or disappear at will, but invisible in the eyes of the people who mattered most, my parents. I'm the elder sister, the one who was supposed to set the example, be the responsible one, the reliable one. But in my family, those qualities didn't seem to count for much. My sister, Lily, is 2 years younger than me. From the moment she was born, she was the center of our parents' universe. She was the sun around which they orbited, while I was just a lonely planet, floating in the periphery, barely noticed. Lily was the pretty one, the charming one, the one with the infectious laugh and the sparkling eyes. I was just there. I remember one Christmas when I was about 10 and Lily was 8. I had spent weeks making an intricate sculpture out of clay for my parents. I had molded it, painted it, and even wrote a little poem to go with it. I was so proud of it, and I couldn't wait to see their faces when they opened it. Lily, on the other hand, had made a simple macaroni necklace at school. She hadn't even bothered to paint it. When it came time to exchange gifts, my parents gushed over Lily's necklace, praising her creativity and thoughtfulness. They wore it proudly, showing it off to anyone who came to visit. My sculpture, however, was barely acknowledged. They thanked me politely and set it aside, where it gathered dust until I finally threw it away myself. That was just one of many incidents that chipped away at my self-worth. I began to believe that I was inherently less lovable than Lily, that there was something fundamentally wrong with me. I tried to compensate by being the perfect child. I studied hard, got straight A's, helped around the house without being asked, and never caused any trouble. But it didn't matter. No matter what I did, I couldn't seem to win my parents' approval or affection. As we grew older, the favoritism became more pronounced. Lily could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. She could stay out late, date whoever she wanted, and even talk back to them without consequence. Meanwhile, I was held to an impossible standard. I had to account for every minute of my time, justify every decision I made, and endure lectures about responsibility and respect. It wasn't fair, but any time I tried to point out the double standard, I was accused of being jealous or oversensitive. One incident that stands out occurred when I was a junior in high school. I had been accepted into a prestigious summer program for young writers. It was a huge honor, and I was thrilled. When I told my parents, their response was lukewarm at best. They said they were happy for me, but they didn't seem particularly interested or impressed. A few days later, Lily came home with a trophy she had won at a local cheerleading competition. My parents were over the moon. They took her out to celebrate, posted pictures of her with the trophy all over social media, and even threw a party in her honor. I sat alone in my room, staring at the acceptance letter that suddenly seemed far less exciting. That summer, I went away to the writing program. It was one of the best experiences of my life. I met amazing people, learned so much, and even had one of my pieces published in a local literary journal. When I came home, bursting with excitement and eager to share my accomplishments, my parents barely listened. They were too busy planning Lily's Sweet 16 party, which they had decided to throw at the last minute. The message was clear. My achievements were nothing compared to Lily's popularity and social life. The final straw came when it was time to apply for college. I had my heart set on a prestigious university known for its exceptional creative writing program. I had the grades, the test scores, and the portfolio to get in. But when I told my parents about my plans, they balked. They said it was too far away, too expensive, and that I should consider something more practical. They suggested I look into community colleges or vocational schools instead. When Lily announced she wanted to go to a nearby state school known for its sororities and football team, they didn't hesitate. They immediately started planning campus visits and talking about how they would help her with tuition. I was devastated. I felt like all my hard work, all my dreams and aspirations meant nothing to them. I decided to apply to the university anyway without their support. When the acceptance letter arrived, I was overjoyed. But when I showed it to my parents, they were anything but happy. They said they wouldn't help me with tuition and that if I wanted to go, I would have to figure it out on my own. That night, as I lay in bed, crying softly into my pillow, I made a decision. I was done trying to win their approval. I was done being the invisible child. The next morning, I started making plans. I applied for every scholarship and grant I could find. I got a part-time job to save up money. And I started looking for other adults who could offer the support and guidance my parents couldn't or wouldn't provide. I found mentors in my teachers, my friends' parents, and even some of my coworkers. With their help, I was able to piece together enough financial aid and scholarships to make my dream a reality. When the time came to leave for college, my parents didn't even bother to drive me to the airport. I said goodbye to them in the driveway, their faces a mix of indifference and disapproval. As I walked away, I felt a strange blend of sadness and relief. I was leaving behind the only family I had ever known, but I was also stepping into a future that was entirely my own. College was everything I had hoped for and more. I thrived in the creative and intellectual environment. I made lifelong friends, found mentors who believed in me, and even started publishing my work in national literary journals. I was living the life I had always dreamed of, and I was doing it on my own terms. Back home, things were different. Lily had dropped out of college after her first semester and was now living at home, working part-time at a clothing store. My parents were still as enamored with her as ever, but I could see the cracks starting to form. Lily was growing restless and unhappy, chafing under the weight of their expectations. She started drinking heavily and staying out all night, causing my parents no end of worry. I watched from a distance, feeling a mix of concern for my sister and vindication for myself. One day during my junior year, I got a phone call from my mother. She sounded different, almost humble. She told me that Lily had been arrested for drunk driving and that they didn't know what to do. She asked if I could come home and help. I was shocked. After all this time, after all the ways they had pushed me away, they were turning to me for help. I thought about it for a long time before making my decision. In the end, I went home. Not for my parents, but for Lily. Because despite everything, she was still my sister, and I loved her. I spent the next few weeks helping her navigate the legal system, getting her into a rehab program, and supporting her as she started to put her life back together. It was hard work, but it was worth it. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a real relationship with my sister. As for my parents, our relationship remained strained. They were grateful for my help, but they still didn't seem to understand the depth of the pain they had caused me. I didn't expect them to change overnight, but I hoped that someday they would see me for who I was and appreciate all that I had to offer. In the meantime, I continued to live my life on my own terms. I graduated summa cum laude, secured a book deal for my first novel, and even started teaching creative writing at my alma mater. I built a life for myself that was rich and fulfilling, surrounded by people who loved and supported me unconditionally. I was no longer the invisible child, the unseen sibling. I was strong, capable, and worthy of love. And that was something no one could ever take away from me. If you're reading this and find yourself in a similar situation, please know that you are not alone. You are seen, you are valued, and you are worthy of love. Your family's treatment of you does not define your worth. You have the power to create your own path, to surround yourself with people who appreciate and support you, and to build a life that brings you joy and fulfillment. It won't always be easy, but I promise you it's worth it. You are worth it.